New York City. Often called the greatest city on Earth, the city is world-renowned for its many innovations, architectural prowess, economic might, cultural impact, and wealth of opportunities that have spanned centuries. To its north, upstate New York holds vast swaths of natural beauty coated in the peaceful, coupled with a rich history that reaches from town to town and county to county. However, underneath such a relaxing tranquility and busy, bustling urban activity in an asphalt jungle of a city lies a chilling darkness in the form of urban legends passed down from generation to generation, reports of unexplained phenomenon, and horrific cases of the unsolved. To cut into this layer of darkness, I present the top 13 New York urban legends and scary stories. Number 13. Ghost Ship on the Hudson. Ever since New York City's history began as the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam dating back to the 1600s, sightings of a mysterious and ghostly ship have riddled the iconic Hudson River separating New York and New Jersey. As the legend states, on the Hudson River centuries ago, a Dutch ship found itself enveloped in tragedy when the crew had lost control of it and crashed into a set of rocks, ensuring a grisly demise for all on board. As a result, when one stops and glances at the Hudson River on an overcast and foggy day, the haunting image of a ship visibly from a bygone era makes itself apparent, notably out of place in the landscape and atmosphere of modern-day New York City. A wooden ship stemming from the 17th and 18th centuries, the strange sounds of the ship's captain commanding his crew to change the ship's course as a means to prevent disaster can still be heard, with the ship hovering above the water and sailing without end. Number 12. A Bloody Bride. In the early 20th century, just southwest of Syracuse, a newly married couple found themselves driving through Cedarvale Road in utter glee and celebration after entering into matrimony. While turning on one of the 13 curves on Cedarvale, the car veered out of control, darting off the road and into a nearby creek, instantly killing both the groom and bride. As a result of the horrific and tragic car accident, Cedarvale Road would forever become known as 13 Curves Road. Yet the road holds more than an eternal black stain in history in the form of a grisly car accident. For decades, motorists, hikers, and simple pedestrians have reported seeing a ghostly image of a bride completely covered in blood with striking glowing eyes. Sometimes she is seen carrying an orange lantern, possibly searching for her long-lost lover who perished in the accident with her. In some cases, the Bloody Bride of 13 Curves Road merely stands along the road, hauntingly studying it as to search for oncoming vehicles, whereas in other cases, the bride is said to jump towards motorists, causing horrific accidents herself. Number 11. The Zip Gun Bomber. On May 7, 1982, while preparing to go on vacation with her husband, a 54-year-old high school guidance counselor named Joan Betty Kipp received a package in the mail that she thought came from her mother. After realizing it was a cookbook, Kipp hastily opened it, only to be shot in the chest by a gun rigged to the interior of the book in an apparent booby trap, ultimately resulting in her death. A decade later, between 1993 and 96, 4 more rigged boxes were delivered to different addresses across New York, with one case involving a woman who was 8 months pregnant named Stephanie Gaffney, who proceeded to open the package only to unveil a book that, when opened, fired 3 bullets. Though miraculously never hit, Gaffney went into labor, resulting in the birth of an unharmed and healthy baby girl, with the bullets failing to strike her due to her holding the book at a specific angle that prevented disaster. Though various people were impacted by the zip gun bomber, only Kipp had been killed, with police being unable to determine if the attacks are random or if all 5 attacks were committed by the same demented perpetrator. To this day, the zip gun bomber remains at large. Number 10. The Floating Monster of Kinderhook. In 1960s upstate New York, 2 young boys went hiking in the woods behind their home when they bore witness to an incredibly high-pitched whistle noise. The 2 boys sought the source of the sound until they stumbled upon a mysterious yet small white figure peer at them from behind a tree without eyes. Without hesitation, the boys ran back to their home. 2 years later, in 1964, an unnamed man walked in the same woods outside of Kinderhook, New York, and witnessed the petrifying sight of a large white blob-type entity float towards him, enabling him to run away. Later that day, with the help of his skeptical friend, he decided to return to the scene, only for the men to drop their shovels and pitchforks and run away after coming face to face with a bizarre floating object once more. Described as a white, almost tranquil creature with a ghostly appearance, the floating monster of Kinderhook serves as one of the most unique and inexplicable cryptids, with sightings being reported as late as 2017. Number 9. The Legend of Pigman Road. In Angola, New York, during the 1950s and 60s, a local butcher would place the heads of decapitated pigs on stakes along Holland Road. According to several rumors associated with the butcher's disturbing displays, The butcher once shot a man and subsequently hung him up on a meat hook in his shop, and also brutally murdered 5 young boys and placed their heads next to his array of pig heads as warnings to anyone that would dare disturb his peace. Additionally, a 6-car passenger train derailed near Pigman Road, killing 50 people and severely injuring 40. Following the horrific tragedy combined with the macabre and chilling legend of the Pigman, locals continually reported paranormal activity occurring on the road. In terms of the butcher, popularly known as the Pigman, reports of squealing noises, presumably from a stressed or disturbed pig, as well as unsettling figures blending into the darkness of the night, and child-sized handprints appearing on the windshields of cars passing through Pigman Road, are mainstays on the deeply unnerving road. Number 8. Upstate UFOs. In the small New York town of Pine Bush, sightings of unidentified flying objects have littered the skies for over 60 years. From the mid-1980s to the 1990s, a mysterious aircraft dubbed the Westchester Boomerang hovered over numerous communities in upstate New York, with Pine Bush serving as a primary hotspot for such a sighting. In the following months and years, a diverse array of different objects flew across the town's inhabitants, including a pencil-thin hovering object and balls of light streaming across the night sky of distant stars and otherworldly tranquility. Soon, it quickly became apparent that Pine Bush, a small and otherwise minor town, stood as a location garnering an unusual amount of UFO activity, and by the end of the 1990s, with cases of alleged alien abductions, law enforcement involvement on the issue, and even a library of alien encounter sightings, newspapers and publications across the country prompted Pine Bush to receive the reputation as the UFO capital of the East Coast of the United States, with an overwhelming influx of people in the town and surrounding areas coming forward to speak out on their disturbing stories involving the unknown. Number 7. The Woman in White. In the scenic Durand Eastman Park lying just outside of Rochester, New York, hikers and casual lovers of nature find themselves frequenting the park on your typical and blissful summer afternoon. Still, despite lingering feelings of summerly warmth, a cold and dreary atmosphere continues to persist. Many years ago, well before the park was founded and on its exact same grounds, stood a house occupied by a reclusive mother and her daughter living alone. As time progressed, the daughter came to be pursued by a number of men who found her beautiful, much to the chagrin of her overbearing mother, who warned her to avoid any and all contact with the men whatsoever. One day, out of sheer desperation, the daughter decided to run away from home, likely in pursuit of a male companion. Distraught, the mother, donning a white dress and equipped with her 2 white Doberman dogs, entered into the nearby woods to search for her missing daughter, who never came home, searching nightly out of intense grief. Finally, after years of fruitless searching, died of heartbreak. For decades, young couples would traverse to Durand Eastman Park to frequent lovers' lanes, with the couples driving away from the park after seeing the ghostly image of an elderly woman in white with her 2 dogs roam around the grounds and approach their cars, with some reports stating that the woman in white emerges from a nearby lake to continue the dire search for her missing daughter. Number 6. The Lake Champlain Monster. New York's Lake Champlain enjoys the rank as the 6th largest freshwater lake in the US and a popular spot for fishermen and lakegoers alike. However, others travel to the lake for an entirely different reason. In the 1600s, French colonists reached Lake Champlain and were met with Native Americans who spoke of a large and unusual animal lurking beneath its depths. Samuel de Champlain, the French explorer who came across the lake and a leading figurehead of France's conquest of the Americas, took note of a large, strange creature of the lake that he reportedly saw, stretching 20 feet and being as thick as a barrel, as described in his written logs. Centuries later, continued sightings of the elusive creature would sweep newspaper headlines and the public's imagination, as fishermen and the people of nearby towns would report coming across the Lake Champlain monster over the years. In 1977, Vermont native Sandra Mancy was vacationing with her family near the lake when suddenly a depression formed in the water before them, with what appeared to be a mysterious creature emerging from the surface. Mancy snapped this photo, which, according to her, depicts the lake monster endearingly referred to as Champ, with a Kodak camera. In the aftermath, experts across the globe have examined the photograph, with Kodak themselves stating the photograph was authentic and taken by the Kodak 110 camera, leading to the photograph becoming one of the most substantial pictures in the field of cryptozoology, the study of animals and living creatures yet to be fully recognized by science. 9 years later, in 1986, the states of New York and Vermont would jointly pass legislation ensuring Champ is designated a protected animal from fishing and other activities. Number 5. The Lady of Lake Ronkonkoma. Lake Ronkonkoma shares the distinction as Long Island's largest freshwater lake and a hugely popular swimming destination during the summer. However, in spite of this, the lake is home to one of the deadliest fatality rates in the country. Over 200 years ago, a Native American princess named Tongawanga fell in love with a white settler as she was wandering through the forest near the lake. Though immediately falling in love, Her happiness was soon dashed when Princess Tongawanga's father, the chief of the Setauket tribe, forbid their love. In response, she would sneak out at night to row her canoe towards the center of the lake, where she would float written messages across to the other side of the lake for her lover to read. Ultimately, after growing tired and increasingly heartbroken because of her father's stubbornness, she paddled herself to the very center of the river and drove a dagger deep into her chest, killing her instantly, with her lover committing suicide in response. Since then, the alluring waters of Lake Ronkonkoma have proven fatal. Between 1877 and 1977, approximately 147 deaths have been attributed to the lake, with the vast majority being male drownings, and between 1963 and 2003, well over 50 drownings occurred, with only male victims. Due to such alarmingly high death tolls, nearby locals have argued that the drownings are results of a curse linked to the Lady of the Lake, a princess denied her long-lost love who seeks to claim the lives of whoever she pleases as a means to obtain a lover in death. Number 4. Whiskey Hollow Road. Just 12 miles north of Syracuse, Whiskey Hollow Road could be viewed as nothing more than a 5-mile stretch of road that serves no other purpose than to connect two streets far busier than itself, unless you find yourself traveling through it at the dead of night. For decades, similar to New Jersey's infamous Clinton Road nearly 4 hours away, reports of KKK activity, violent criminal activity, and satanic cults frequenting the road to enact their activities and ceremonies have plagued the road, making it a popular travel destination for curious teenagers and those seeking a fright. Other than such reports, many have reported deeply unsettling run-ins with ghostly specters and apparitions of children, presumably victims of the malevolent groups commonly spotted along the road. According to those claiming to have seen the childly apparitions, such children make an effort to make themselves both known and seen, such as by coming across a bloodied blanket possibly belonging to a child dangling on nearby tree branches, or ghost children wandering on the road with the goal of stopping cars as a means to ask for directions, only to disappear when the motorist turns their head away even slightly. Number 3. The Hell Gate Bridge. Constructed in the 1910s and connecting Randall's and Ward's Island to Queens, much of the eerie mystique surrounding Hell Gate Bridge lies in its name alone, as its structure and purpose fail to delineate it from other bridges scattered throughout the nation. Yet, a slew of haunting rumors have emerged from those living near it. In the 1970s, local children and teenagers would state that a criminally insane man resides in one of the bridge's towers, kidnapping children and torturing them. Consequently, brave adventure seekers would try climbing such towers to catch some type of glimpse of who such an alleged figure might be. Most prominently, however, the bridge has been associated with the reports of a ghost train passing through the actual bridge at night. In doing so, the hellish and ghostly train services all those that have perished in the waters below, souls that manifested into disheveled and troubled passengers. Number 2. Sewer Gators. At the beginning of the 20th century, stories of wealthy New York elitist families flocking to Florida for vacation captured the public's attention as a window into a lifestyle of glamour and wealth. Typically, such families would return to New York with pet baby alligators, largely to serve as pets for their children. However, when the alligators became too large to properly maintain, would be flushed down the toilets, spurring their presence in the sewers just beneath the city. Once in the sewer, the alligators would feed on rats and pieces of garbage, growing to enormous sizes and creating entire colonies in their wake, with such rumors skyrocketing in popularity and prominence in the 1930s. In June of 1932, swarms of alligators were seen in the Bronx River, coupled with a 3-foot-tall alligator being found in 1935 in northern Yonkers, and in the same exact year, a group of teenagers encountered and quickly put down a 7.5-foot-long alligator that emerged from a manhole connected to the city's sewers, lending doses of credibility to a possibility that has haunted New York City for almost 100 years: the chance of an army of alligators dwelling in the sewer systems below. Number 1. Cropsey. The legend of Cropsey has proven to be the archetypal and premier urban legend. In 1970s and 80s Staten Island, children would whisper to each other the story of Cropsey, a horrifying and deranged man who escaped from a mental institution and would stalk the parks and wooded areas by night, searching for any child that walks his way to kidnap and murder them. Typically, Cropsey is described as a man donning all black, either equipped with a hook for a hand or a bloody axe. Though creepy, the people of Staten Island merely dismissed the tale of Cropsey as nothing more than a camping trip horror story, until an arrest was made. In 1987, after a slew of missing persons cases struck Staten Island, primarily involving adolescent girls, a man named Andre Rand, a custodian and physical therapy aide at the Staten Island Developmental Center, was apprehended by investigators after the body of Jennifer Schweiger, a little girl with Down syndrome, was found just outside of one of his makeshift camps. Rand, a man with a horrific history of sexual abuse towards minors, was also linked to one other killing and suspected of 4 others, with many of his victims possessing mental and physical disabilities of some kind, likely in a manner of strategic targeting, or deriving from Rand's own work experience as an aid to children suffering from mental impediments. Detectives involved in the case and spectators alike have stated that Rand may have acted with other criminal perpetrators, with suspected satanic and human sacrifice allegations riddling Rand's standing as well. Shockingly, the urban legend of Cropsey, originating well before Rand's arrest and conviction, eerily foreshadowed such revelations and came true through the heinous acts of Andre Rand. Andre Rand will be eligible for parole in 2037. Overall, upstate New York's naturalistic beauty and New York City's highly impressive architectural landscape are truly sights to behold, perpetuating iconic imagery that has always stood as the symbol in which an entire nation can provide to the world. Still, as with any location or subject, an innate darkness lurks, a darkness in the form of stories spread from one community to the next, deplorable acts that blur the line between the known and the unknown, supposed curses that may have cost the lives of many, creatures untouched by the touch of man, or potential visitors from another world. New York retains a uniquely special place in the ever-expanding library of the unexplained.